And we are learning more about Imran Awan and his work for Yvette Clarke, a New York Democrat representative facing opposition in Tuesday's primaries. This comes as his brother, former Democrat IT worker Imran Awan, heads back to court next week. One America's John Hines has more from Washington.
Former congressional IT worker Imran Awan has been charged with bank fraud and is under federal investigation. But his brother and fellow IT worker Abid Awan has faced no charges or prosecution so far. But now new information from a congressional whistleblower has surfaced which could change that.
So Wendy Anderson is this whistleblower, the new chief of staff. She comes in, she pulls up the emails of the old chief of staff, realizes her predecessor has been apparently running a theft scheme, working with the IT guy to order all this stuff that they don't need, and then apparently take it home. Things like smart TVs and iPods, music players, things you wouldn't use in an office. So she goes to Yvette Clarke and says, "You got to fire this guy."
This guy refers to Abid Awan, who may have been assisted by Democratic Representative Yvette Clarke's former chief of staff. And either a chief of staff or a member of Congress is required to sign off on equipment purchases. In this case, some $120,000 of equipment that disappeared, says Luke Rosiak of the Daily Caller News Foundation. Yet when confronted with this information, Representative Clarke delayed.
And Yvette Clarke kind of flips out and says, "Don't tell anyone," and didn't say anything. And they actually had to write off $120,000 of equipment. And it wasn't until 6 months later when House investigators came to her and said, "We realized on our own something's going on here, and we're about to look into it," that she told them.
And when we see how hesitant Clarke was to fire Abid Awan, the lengths she went to protect him, it raises concerns about whether or not Clarke may have feared Abid Awan would release some embarrassing information, says Rosiak. But Clarke wasn't the only one who may have feared Abid Awan.
Now the whistleblower, Wendy Anderson, when they fired Abid Awan, she was frightened to go back into the office. She thought he was lurking behind every door because she came in one day on a weekend and he didn't expect her to walk in the door. This IT guy was at the desk of Yvette Clarke, the congresswoman, surrounded by so many fancy electronic goods that she said it looked like Christmas. iPods, all this stuff you had no reason for in an office.
Which certainly seems to raise questions, some of which at least have been answered by the chief administrative officer of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Out of these three brothers, only Imran has been charged, but now we're realizing that the House of Representatives has all kinds of evidence against his brother, who has never been charged with anything. Authorities in the House, like Phil Kiko, the chief administrative officer of the House, testified, and there's video of this, about how they had all the evidence that these guys were running a theft scheme. So that raises the questions of what happened. You got the evidence. Why is there no prosecution?
John Hines, One American News, Washington.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.